Am I looking at you, yeah?
No, you
look down the lens?
you look down the lens, and
cool.
we have this little toy over here is doing some other things, and again make it do what it do. Cool. So, let's start it off, and you tell me who you are.
I'm Genesis Lynea. I'm 33, almost 34 in October. Oi. And I am a creative, predominantly actor, and sometimes, occasionally, singing, dancing, choreographing, writing, multi-mused, but predominantly active. That's what pays the bills. So I'm based in London. I was born in Bermuda and moved to London in '96 with my mom, who's also a creative muse, and she was doing her degree in Middlesex, got her performing arts degree. So I was always around, the creative arts. My dad's also a saxophonist, so I was just born with music and, expression and art. So yeah, I kind of followed in the path. After a few years of resistance, I went to uni to do geography with film studies. Can you believe that? And a friend came up to me in the second year and was like, "What are you doing? You were supposed to be on the stage or on camera." So yeah, auditioned, got into Arts Ed, did 3 years there, graduated, and then went straight into my first musical, which was The Bodyguard, the Whitney one. That was fun. Yeah, so, and it was weird because the uni that I was at was right next door to the theatre, the Adelphi Theatre. It was just on the Strand by Waterloo. Mm-hmm. And it was a 360 moment. And I guess I'd say to that is what's for you will not pass you, you know what I mean? And I really try to fight to be a creative. But it's so I'm based in London, and sometimes, I did a show that shot in Budapest. I've worked in Birmingham, which is in England as well. And yeah, I'm trying to go overseas, so like America or LA or New York or, open up. So, yeah. I was not here for Pride, but I was here in spirit because I was watching all the footage, and I was really, really impressed with the quality of the footage. But you know what? Next year I'm definitely going to make it down because I think it's important. Growing up in Bermuda, when I was here, there was no Pride. I didn't have any kind of representation of what queerness looked like. There was no ownership of it. I don't think there was any space for it. And it's not a regret because everything happens for a reason, but I often do think, I wonder, wow, what would my life look like if it had been, an open arm to say, hey, look, you're also allowed to be in this space and you're lovable and, you're accepted. But I'm just very happy that it's happening now, that we have a growing queer community that are visible and have the courage to just be themselves. I think it's really important because we are from a beautiful island, but there are maybe not as nice, beautiful things happening in the world, on the island for the queer community. So it's growing, and I like that. So yes, next year I'll be here. Being back home, I think there's a mixture of emotions. I think that the initial feeling is, when you step off the plane and you get hit by the humidity and you come in and you just see the island, it brings back joy. But then, you're maybe met with, oh my God, there's a cute little turtle. So you just see stuff like this you don't see in London, just nature in its veracity. You'll be hit with the Bermudian accent, and then you'll be hit with maybe some interesting looks, borderline judgmental looks, and trying to grasp what the hell is in front of them. And then you'll hear certain comments, and reality is a different reality here on the island. yes, it's beautiful, but there are, like I said, there's some undertones that do come to the forefront that aren't as nice and aren't as welcoming. But it is necessary for me to recharge, reset, come back to where I was born. So I'd say the overall feeling is gratitude, but also like a fire in my belly to do more for the community here, for the queer community, and to learn more about the history of Bermuda, because I put my hand up and I realized I actually don't know a lot about Bermuda history and where we come from. And that's not cool. I need to do better. But it's something that I hold my hand up, I take accountability, and it takes a village to raise a child. So we as a community, we need to start being a bit more cohesive, talking more, and I guess, yeah, holding hands in a way and enabling new growth to come through with our understanding of each other and with, conversation. So, yeah, hopefully that can happen. And yeah, I feel grateful that I'm from here. A lot of people are from very grey, boring, polluted places, but I'm not. So, yeah, I want to take more pride in that. So, yeah, great gratitude is the overall feeling. Okay, so London, it's a global capital of the world. You have accessibility. There's loads of people. There's loads of different types of people. There's loads of different types of cultures, religions, origins. Not to say that there's not things such as xenophobia over there, but I think when you come to Bermuda, it's a bit more here. What word is that? I guess narrow-minded, controlled, very religious, but then very tied down into Christianity, which, we were speaking about before, that it doesn't originate from our people, it doesn't come from us. Yet we are still kind of following in those guidelines that we were given way back. Our ancestors were given. Well, we weren't given them, we were forced to follow. So I think the main word I'd give you is freedom and accessibility. Although Bermuda is way more abundant than London, they're both big island. Well, London is part of a bigger island, the UK. But yeah, I think it feels like we're in a time warp, maybe like 30 years behind, which is understandable. We are isolated. There's no one near us geographically. So I guess that's part of it. But yeah, it does feel slightly behind in that respect. So particularly for artists, creatives, I think it's hard to survive here because there isn't an infrastructure for you to survive in, and therefore you have to create it. And like any self-employed artist, after a while, it gets quite tiresome to constantly fuel yourself and say, keep going, It's hard. You need a team. Any successful actor, for example, has a team, right? They'll have an acting coach, they'll have an agent, they'll have a manager, they'll have a trainer, they'll have a nutritionist, they'll have a stylist, they'll have a publicist. So I guess back to the other point about community, it's important that we do stick together and we do keep talking and creating those links and forming a strong, fortified castle, as it were, to prevent other people from coming in and stopping them to tell us what to do, because we've got to take ownership. So, yeah, London has way more accessibility to everything. You can get anything you want. Mm-hmm. And it's much cheaper here, if you know what I'm talking about. It's cheaper in London, not here. Yeah, freedom. That's the buzzword. You've got to travel. If you're going to stay in Bermuda, think of it like, I don't know, you go overseas, you bring back the gold, like the white people did, and you bring it back to the island and you learn from it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. But within that, we still need to hold on to our traditions and our cultures. And yeah, reinforce that into today and not just use Christianity, which is something that didn't come from our people. Because let's face it, most of us are from West Africa. But we won't acknowledge that because we're not African. You know what I mean? Which is, doesn't make any sense. We come from somewhere, right? Ooh, highlights. There's been a few moments where it smacks you in the face and you're like, wow, I'm so blessed to have this opportunity or this experience, and it's really hard to stay in the moment because you start racing ahead and you go, wow, I'm so grateful. And I guess one of them would be, and it's connected to Bermuda. It's probably the most connected project, which was a Netflix show called Shadow and Bone. I had a very small part, but God said, yo, put her on the trailer. So, in the highlights on Netflix, my big old face was there. And I really felt the excitement and the joy and the pride for being a part of the project. And I think, particularly for Bermudians, it was accessible because it's on Netflix and it was an international show. So even my parents, and my grandparents saw it in Bermuda. So that was a really happy moment. And I thought, okay, Netflix. I gotta do some more Netflix so that people can watch it because, I do other shows, but it's usually on BBC or HBO HBO is international, but I think a lot of BBC projects don't come out for a few years or it comes out on YouTube. So that was, I was very proud of that. And I was also proud of the performance. Most actors will probably tell you that they're not often proud of what they're doing. It's a bit cringy or you don't like to watch yourself. But I think the world that it was in fantasy, and it actually allowed the viewer to be immersed in and not just see Genesis, see the character, which is what I'm always trying to achieve, is be the character, not myself. So, Shadow and Bone, I'd say that's a highlight. Oh, I was speaking about this today, positive influences. Chosen family, right? We all have a family. Some may not be with us, and we may not have even met them, but we all come from somewhere. However, I feel that the chosen family, the family that you choose, is, I guess, parallel on the same level because it's your life, right? And you choose the parameters and you choose what's in your life, or so you should. You should be allowed to do that. And your chosen family for me are my mirrors, my constant mirrors of reflecting my good, but also reflecting my shadow and constantly trying to work on that. And I think they really do hold you up. So my chosen family are my friends. I mean, there's a long list. A lot of them come from Work Academy. I was here from the age of 13 to 16, and I think those are the years, life gets a little bit funky. The hormones are racing. You're starting to figure out who you are, what you like, what do you want to do when you grow up? That's the question that we always get asked, right? In school and whatnot. So a lot of my Work Academy friends, particularly when I come back home, that's who I see. And I'm really grateful for that. I stayed with a friend here in Smiths, and I just said thank you to their parents for having me, for accepting me, for giving me support, for feeding me, for housing me, for taking me around. And it's super important to me because London is my home, but you do feel isolated, especially because Bermuda, was 60,000 people, 63,000 people, and it's not a lot of us. So then going into such a big pond, big lake, big sea, going to London, it is, it can be quite lonely sometimes. So I've got a few friends from Bermuda that live in London, which I'm super grateful for. So it's kind of like a connection buzz, I just do a top up when I see them, especially on like Easter, you go and get your codfish and such. But I'd say my chosen family are my ride or dies. Okay, so message to myself would be, you know what it is. You know what it is. It's your intuition was there from the beginning, and you can trust it, and it's okay to trust it. But also know that you are safe. You are safe wherever you go. It may not feel like you are, every time, wherever you are, but as long as you have your integrity you're gonna be all right, and you are all right, and you are loved. I guess to the younger community, I'd say, keep fucking going, man. You're amazing. You inspire me. I'm so amazed at your tenacity and your bravery and your insight and your visions and your compassion and your empathy and your ability to communicate your emotions is phenomenal. So keep going and know that what you're doing is important. And also to hold your people up. You know, don't always think that way. Think horizontal. Put your hand out, and you're gonna reach the destination together.
I ain't gonna tell you, man. I'm getting no choked up over here. That is a beautiful message. That is a beautiful.
Jesus.
Listen, that was so beautiful. From myself personally, thank you so much for coming and being a part of this, because you know what? Not everybody wants to be highlighted. Even though people do want to be seen, they don't necessarily want to speak on it or what have you. So thank you. And we don't take people's time for granted, because it's the one thing you can never get back. So we do appreciate that you have come and given us your time today and been a part of us creating queer Bermudian history.
Let's go.
So,
let's go.
Love.
And I'll be back.
Listen.
We'll be doing this a bit more often.
Maybe we're going to have to do it when I'm back in London at some point.
Yeah, come down South London, Thornton Heath, CR7. We got space as well. We got 3 beds. So we got 3 bedrooms. So yeah, you guys come down anytime.
Wow.
Anytime.
Okay, we got an invitation.
That's right.
Heading over.
Get it.
Going across the pond.
Come on now.
Hey, peace and blessings.